And today we are at the beautiful grounds of East Ridge Village Community in Cutler Bay, a staple in this community.
Acuérdate de agarrarlo. ¿Ok? Ponértelo.
Pues ya me había quedado también eso, ahora lo tengo que repetir. Today's...
You should put that in. No, yeah.
Bloopers at the end.
Dale, blooper time. Today's podcast has been brought to you by our friends at East Ridge Village, where they provide assisted living, independent living, memory care, and long-term care for a loved one. Oh, hi there, empowered ladies. Welcome back to another episode of Mari.Trilogy. And today we are at the beautiful East Ridge Village community in Cutler Bay, a staple in this community for many, many years. And with us today is Marco Gonzalez, Director of Sales and Marketing, and he will be answering some of our most popular questions from some of our viewers and past patients. Thank you for being with us today, Marcos. We really appreciate your time.
It is my sincere pleasure. Thank you for having me. Honestly.
Very excited. This is a beautiful place.
Oh, I'm glad you love it. Yeah, it's has a lot of historical value. We've been around for probably 67 years. It was inaugurated in June 6, 1962. This is a very special place. Yeah.
67 years. So tell us a little bit about East Ridge. I know that when Enid and I opened MD Senior Placement, we would bring lots of potential customers, and we kind of shied away for a little bit, but now we're back. Tell us a little bit and let our audience know what East Ridge is all about.
Absolutely. And thank you for that, for bringing folks to us. No, East Ridge is a very special place. Aside from the historical value that I mentioned, we're very unique. I always tell folks we have 3 superpowers. So the first superpower is we're 76 acres, which is very unique in Miami-Dade, especially in South Florida. I doubt you could find that much acreage west of US 1 at this point. So that's pretty wonderful. We're what they call horizontal living. The second superpower will be that we have an on-site skilled nursing facility. We are the full continuum. So having what they call a CCRC license, we're a continuing care retirement community. We have independent living, assisted living, memory support. We have a skilled nursing facility, and we have long-term care. Of course, a host of amenities in between. But the last superpower is we're a real community. So being here this long, we've had intergenerational families that lived here, very strong relationships within the community. So yeah, that's what makes it special.
Right. Yeah. And the grounds are so beautiful, so peaceful. When I drove in this morning, I was talking to Luiana, and I was telling her it's so peaceful. The birds, the greenery, it's amazing. So let's dig deep into our first question.
Sure.
Why do you think aging is still such a difficult conversation for families to have?
I mean, from my perspective, I think it has to do with mortality. It has to do with independence. I think it's really difficult because families are usually emotionally invested in, the people that raised them. There's so much respect and regard for them. It's a touchy subject. Ultimately, I think in the back of everyone's mind, you kind of know that you're going to be taking away some freedoms that you don't necessarily want to take away from them. And I think that's why it's probably a difficult conversation.
Yeah, and the realization too that your parents are getting really old.
Yes.
And that's so sad. That really is. Many times it's sad for the...
It is. I think there's an extreme amount of guilt revolving around it. I've even had families ask me, Marco, will you tell my mom and dad? And I thought, I don't think you want me to be that person, but I do understand why they're asking, and I certainly see the sensitivity around it. But I think everything can be accomplished, and there's a brighter future on the other side once you become familiar with what's being offered. So, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what are the first signs that a loved one may no longer be safe living alone?
There are definitely signs, we call them red flags. I think, you'll probably see, probably medication that's not taking timely, or maybe they forget to take the medication. They'll probably see, either the home is a little bit disorderly, or they miss doctor's appointments, or maybe the opposite of being disorderly. Maybe they're holding on to a lot of stuff. I think there's a little hoarder in all of us, so it's possibly they have they're keeping a lot of stuff, or maybe they don't go outside or socialize, or they don't engage anybody, or maybe there have been some unexplained falls. Maybe there's a bruise. You're wondering, how did that happen? There's always red flags that kind of point to something's going on, and it's time to rethink what we're doing in order to kind of get the care, the safety you need.
Do you know what, for example, what are the first top 3 signs that home is no longer an option?
Well, I think the first top 3 signs, I think the first sign would be definitely if there's, you're a fall risk. I think if you start, or I have folks that aren't even able to access their second floor of their homes. If they're restricted to kind of living their day to day, even if they aren't even making out. I have folks who have come here and haven't even seen a doctor in several years, which surprises me for a senior. It's a big one. So I think that's one. I think confusion, clutter, not able to accomplish tasks, simple tasks, because as we get older, I can't help but notice our anxiety tends to go up. I know I have a great deal of it right now with 2 kids, but it grows, So I think that's another sign. And the last thing is, what are you involved in? Is there a purpose? If you kind of let go of the things you love, if you like gardening, you're no longer gardening. If you are active in a social club, you're no longer in a social club. Those things start to be other flags that you're no longer participating or have a real purpose in the things that you love. So I think that leads to, being reclusive, maybe a certain degree of depression, those type of things. So those are the things.
You see the
absolutely, yeah.
When they start getting reclusive and they don't want to go out.
Absolutely, and that's one of the biggest signs. Always around the holidays. Around Thanksgiving, when families get together and everybody flies in, during the Christmas holidays, there's kind of this realization of like, oh, there's been a change with mom or dad, and they start to rethink, how will we provide the care in order to help them to get where they belong, not where they are now. Yeah.
I've seen that, and I've heard that over the holidays is a prime time in which the children realize what's going on.
Yeah, and I shouldn't just say the children, because I think in Thanksgiving you have the whole family. So I think the aunts, the uncles, everybody. So it's a collaboration where everybody kind of agrees. Okay, no, something needs to change. So.
So why do you think so many seniors resist accepting help or transitioning into assisted living?
Well, I mean, I have to be careful what I say. I have a lot of friends. I know everybody on this property, and I've received a lot of different opinions, but I think it literally comes down to they equate that transition with the loss of independence, the loss of control, being in the driver's seat. And I also think that there's like this climate or idea of what a nursing home was when probably they were younger, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Which is not the case today.
Very different.
Very different. Community-centered, I would even say with the intention of community, which is super healthy, which is wonderful and rewarding to make relationships. So I think once they're introduced to that and they visit a place like East Ridge here or some other great communities, they kind of make that connection and they're like, oh, wow, this isn't what I thought it was gonna be. I was totally wrong. And I think I need to kind of rethink this and have the conversation now. So
you're saying that there's more sense of community now as opposed to before?
I think so. And I think, it's funny because working here over the years, I started, you start to question certain things. And I kind of looked at how long has a nursing home been around? So nursing home has been around since the turn of the 18th century. Okay. And then how long has assisted living been around? However, they've been around approximately 50 years or so. Not very long at all.
Not at all.
And it really fills in a gray area between independent living and skilled nursing. And then when you look at skilled nursing, all the advances in technology and everything else, that's even more recent to some degree. It used to just all be nursing home. And so kind of grouping everybody into that group or bucket wasn't very conducive to folks individually in terms of individualized care, because we're all different. But now folks can receive that. So I think those changes have been a drastic improvement. I think those are the real big changes. I don't think nursing homes look clinical. Here they look more like a resort or a cruise ship or other things. And I think there's something for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So the 70s was, I'm sorry.
No, no,
The
sorry.
70s was a turning point, I think.
I would say so, yes.
Look at
and,
that.
And it's funny because most folks took their parents and they were like, oh my gosh, this place isn't so, I wouldn't want this for me, but they had to do
I
it.
was
And
just gonna
so they're now, coming themselves, and then they kind of have that idea, but when they see it, they're like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I can do this. And I literally see the transformation happen at this very table with families when they do visit. So it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, we meet families every day and interview them, and we do our clinical assessment and financial assessment. The first thing they say, they have no knowledge of healthcare, of course. And they say, is this a home? Like a
Right.
nursing home? And I said, what do you mean a home? And they said, yeah, is this like a nursing home? Oh no, those are horrible. And they have no
No.
conception
Yeah.
of what we have today.
No, totally. I think one thing I like to, it's funny. I mean, the residents here are fantastic. I'm blessed that I work in a fantastic community with residents that actually give back a lot. But I always invite them to dinner or lunch or birthday night, and they literally have a completely different conversation with the residents that they had with me. With me, they're much more cordial and reserved, but with the residents, they just they're straight shooters. They.
But I love it.
I love that, and they always come back to me and say, "Marco, I had no idea," and then it kind of pushes things in the right direction.
Yeah. And it starts off like that now,
Yes.
the conversation.
The conversation.
How do families approach when they see that it is necessary to take the senior's care to the next level?
So coincidentally, my brothers and I are, we've talked about this about our father we love dearly. And over the years, talking with many families, I think I would conclude that it has to be done with a significant amount of respect and empathy. I think it has to be about collaboration. It should not be about this is what we're going to do. It should be more about a conversation and shared feelings about, hey, how do you feel about things are right now? And, I notice you're not doing this anymore. Wouldn't it be great if you could do this again? And there'll be reasons why you can't do that. So I think approaching it from that perspective allows you to reach conclusions. I mean, the families that have done it right, which this has been a total education working from here. My background's in accounting. I think I've learned more here just interacting with people than I've ever had in accounting or in business. So it's been a real blessing, but I can tell you that the ones that do it right, they will allow, or I should say, they're more interested in the buy-in from their parents. They want to hear them say, this is what I want. And they will continue to tour, they will continue to ask questions, continue to support until they reach the conclusion, regardless how long it takes. And I think that that's wonderful.
What is the biggest mistake families make when they wait too long, and that's
So
leading into that?
So I've always said this, and I've already kind of had this conversation with families. There are two types of folks that approach me in this community or in this setting. The first is due to an episode. Some type of crisis has launched them into the decision. And then the other half are the ones that were planners. They looked down the train, they had the conversation like we just discussed, and they came to the conclusion, okay, we'd be much better off, and it would be far more, a lot of the decisions or all the things that I want would be on the high ground if we kind of planned ahead versus waiting for something to happen. Now, the crisis that occurs, honestly, your options will be limited. Time is never your friend in any scenario, much less when you're in a hospital and you have decisions to make in terms of next steps and what you're able to do or the care that you need. So, I would say definitely it's a crisis or an episode. But it's just the argument for trying to have the conversation, look down the terrain, and try to plan, regardless of how small the conversation is. Try to have the conversation. Opening the door is probably the best thing you could ever do with your family.
Yeah. So how would you approach that one person that is dealing with a parent that is half and half here, half not?
Oh yeah, no, I'm thinking back to the person that asked me, hey, will you ask my parents? They're a little resistant.
And the reason I ask you this question is because I particularly
Yeah.
have a friend who has a relative in the hospital, and 2 weeks ago she was perfect health. Okay,
Yes.
regular checkups, and then all of a sudden everything changed, and now her life completely changed because her mom was with it and now she's not.
Correct.
So how do you approach the person when they're not all there?
If there is cognitive impairment, I think that the formula holds true in terms of having the conversation, regardless if they remember it all or not. I think from maybe a position of respect again and integrity, it's worth having that conversation because, you will be making a lot of those decisions for them, unfortunately, because you're here and something has to be done. But I think it is still important to have the conversation and provide the support and share the feelings. Because cognitive impairment, for example, is, it's such a wide spectrum and everybody's so different. The general answer would be that. For folks,
Some become aggressive too.
Yes, no, and everybody is different. I mean, I've seen folks who have been so passive and kind their whole life, and they've been, for some reason, but it's really the agitation going on with the impairment, I think. Regardless of the practice, if, you practice TIPA snow, or if you use other manners of redirecting or approaching the matter, I think the original formula holds true and still have the conversation and still try to engage. But I think touring, seeing facilities, talking to folks who've been through it, your friends, family, professionals, your doctor, these are the collaborators in your life at this point that you can draw information from to make best decisions. Yeah.
How do you and your team help families with the guilt when they're moving a relative into a community like this one?
We focus on making real relationships because we're real people. The way that I'm literally sitting across from you now and having this conversation is who I am. It's the way that I am in front of everyone that I meet and move in. I have literally had moments where I was just brokenhearted from what they shared with me.
Yes.
It's very hard. And so
It's hard.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I pray for them. And so I can only tell you that I can only empathize and provide them with the best possible guidance that I can. Whether, in terms of placement, Eastridge is the best place for them or not, I'm going to give them the honest answer because I think that's what's important. We want to do right by everyone, and I think that's really the connection that we're looking for. Not just being here for as long as we have, or from my position as a team member, but I think as Eastridge as a whole, making those strong connections with people and providing what they need and not what we want is priority. It's not even negotiable, to be honest with you. So
when you meet with these families, you can basically tell, or how can you tell a caregiver is in complete burnout?
Oh gosh, you'll know immediately. They can become immediately complacent. They will maybe miss days, become absent. The level of service that they are providing has declined rapidly. So yeah, you'll definitely see it. In my past life as a home health director, that's why I never believed the live-in was a great solution, because over time they would reach burnout.
Yeah, they also get burned out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's better to have different shifts. So each shift holds the other shift accountable, that sort of thing. You can pass the baton and have equal time off which is so important to kind of get away, regroup, refresh, recharge the batteries, and then jump back in. So you could easily tell when someone is kind of reached that point. And then, you see it in the quality of care of the individual. It becomes really apparent.
Right.
Yeah, their health, their safety, everything just declines.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
And sometimes burnout can come very quickly.
Yeah, especially if you're a family member, because you have such an emotional tie. You're emotionally invested in it. And so I think it even compounds it to some degree.
It's a big combination of so many things.
Oh my gosh.
Guilt, emotions.
That's a great thing about going to a facility, because you no longer have to, carry that weight alone. And, I don't think anyone should really feel afraid of asking for help. It's not a weakness. I think it's a total strength, because aligning yourself with people who are going to provide you the support will allow you to become just a family member again and not a caregiver, which is the goal, right? So I think that's our approach, and that would be probably the approach most folks should take. Yeah.
Funny, our next question, we were having a conversation behind the scenes before you got here, but
Okay, so
it's your turn.
women.
Yes, women.
Why is it that women all of a sudden become the main caregivers, and so many of them, and sometimes it's the daughter-in-law, as
Yes.
opposed to the son?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I would attribute it more maybe historically or culturally. I know from my cultural background, the mom, grandma, or I should say actually in this scenario, because it's a senior being provided care for, the granddaughter or the daughter-in-law, they usually step up to the plate with a lot of personal sacrifice, I might add, in order to accomplish, the caregiving services for someone. So I've seen that time and time and again. I've seen it within my own family, and I've seen it with other families. But again, the solution, honestly, I think is something like East Ridge, a facility that provides you with the necessary care that you need, the community that you need, the safety that you need, so you can kind of flourish. Placements, everything about in regards to that. But yeah, no, I know women have in the past and still do. We're predominantly a female-dominated community here, so we can never say, okay, we'll never have a vote where men vote against women. We'll consistently lose. But I think women are also more nurturing than anything, and they also provide a great deal of empathy.
And the maternal side.
Totally.
Those hormones.
When compared to, yeah.
Look at his face.
Yes.
So one of the big things, and tell me about loneliness in seniors.
Oh gosh, I encounter it quite a bit. So chronic loneliness, can obviously is tied to depression. It is your overall health, your mood, how you feel about yourself. That's a very important topic and matter that needs to be addressed. I feel that it's I think the solution or the best treatment for that is community. Community is the best possible treatment. As we get older, myself included, you look back and all the friends you've lost, maybe family. What's fortunate about moving into a real community is you get to refill that glass. I think one of the best investments anyone can make, especially seniors, and especially the ones that are successful and have a high quality of life, are constantly reinvesting in relationships.
Really?
Those are the ones that are always sharp, always have a purpose, always involved. I sincerely love that. Actually, I look to many folks here as mentors, and I kind of have adopted their approach because I see the longevity it gives them, the happiness it gives them, to kind of avoid all that chronic loneliness, to kind of embrace being in a group and community.
So purpose is very important.
Purpose is very important.
Very important.
Very.
The reason to wake up every morning and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to help this one feel good about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the socialization and human interaction,
Yeah.
I think is the most important. And we are living in an era of addiction, dependency on
Yes, technology
drugs.
and
And
technology.
it's not
And
only young
technology.
people. And it's not only young people, it's older people too.
Yes,
They
yeah.
self-medicate themselves, they do this, they do that, and that is horrible.
It is.
Only because they're stuck at home no social life,
Yeah.
no friends,
Yes.
families sometimes don't even live here, and it's sad.
It is sad. I didn't realize it until I worked here. One of the benefits of working here that educated me a great deal about, aging is being alone is really not a negotiable. It's not negotiable. Being around folks that love you or support you, participating, it just has to happen. We're social creatures, and being involved in things that you care about are healthy. And it should be.
It is healthy.
Yeah.
It is healthy. It is healthy to talk. It is healthy to laugh.
Absolutely.
It is healthy. And there's something wonderful about the people that grew up in your generation that understand you. They understand your music. They understand, the era.
Yes,
And
yes.
you sit down with them and you may not even know, but there's a connection. You may not know them, but there's a connection. And that is very important.
Very, very, very important.
I've recently lost 2 friends, and it is massive what you feel. And they've been good friends, but I was not expecting to feel how massive it is to lose. That's why I believe you, community and people
Yeah.
getting involved.
Yeah. You have a kind of a shared experience, between your age group or your generation. I see it constantly. We celebrate it actually. So it's interesting. I visit residents and I go to their homes and I'll see a picture when they were, in their prime. And I'm like, is that you? And they light up and they're like, yeah, that was me. So strong I was. I was like, yeah, that's wonderful. But it's incredible just to, it's a paradigm, but it really is. It's great to see that and to realize that these people were once just like me or you, working professionals. They had a full life, accomplishments. Yes, things have changed, but all that's still within them, and they have so much to give. And so I just think
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
great.
yes.
It's
And
wonderful.
it brings them back.
Yes.
Memories are.
I honestly think that's what brought me from accounting to what I'm doing now, because I get so much entertainment in the discussions
Oh,
we
I
have.
can imagine.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It is great
And the
experience.
thing is that before you know it, we're there.
Yes.
Oh, God.
No, I've always said there's, it's a coin. There's 2 sides. There's, obviously the quality of life side, and then there's the financial side, being the affordability of already getting what you're looking for. But I've been so fortunate to sit across families, adult children, potential residents, and seeing how they approach everything has been a huge education for me. To allow me to prepare for myself and my family. Because when you see someone do something right, I don't think there's no better education. You realize, okay,
course.
he's doing it right. I think we're all doing it wrong. I think we need to do what this person is doing. And fortunately, there's a lot of great people out there that are doing it right.
And I'm going to interject. It's still many years away from me, but I've already had the conversation with my son.
That's
I have already sat down.
That's great.
I was the one who brought it up.
That's great.
And I think that when we all start seeing that we're passing on to a different stage in life, even though I'm very active, we should all have that conversation, because we could get
Absolutely.
ill at any time.
At any
But doesn't it feel good? I actually think it's beautiful, because I think you harboring all this, anxiety about it. But when you actually have it done, I think there's like this big weight lifted off your shoulders, and I feel so
what a
good about the
relief,
fact.
right?
Oh my gosh! And like he knows what I want, I know what I want, we know what's going to happen. I think it's so much better to lay it all out than to hold it all in and expect the best. That's not a plan.
No.
No. So
It
I
makes
agree.
their life easier too.
Yeah.
So, Eastridge offers independent living, assisted
Yes.
living,
Yes.
memory care,
Absolutely.
and long-term care for
Long-term care.
those that
Yes.
cannot do the assisted living or independent living
Yes.
life anymore. Now, can you explain a little bit what are the misconceptions of each? We will have a second podcast
Okay.
just dedicated to memory care, because
Great.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel now a pandemic. There's so many people with memory issues now.
I've seen a
that-
growth in the amount of memory care admissions, and not just that. If you look at the market share with facilities that have opened up, they're specifically opening up with memory support units. Clearly, there's a lot of growth there. Yeah.
I recently heard, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard, I can't remember who we heard it from, but that they're even thinking about opening long-term care facilities like nursing homes, only nursing homes for memory care patients alone.
That's be
That's
interesting.
how high the demand is.
Yes. So, cognitive impairment's it's a difficult subject. It's a difficult illness. There is no cure. And it's much harder when the person's young, which I've encountered as well.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
we
So,
have.
yeah, so for,
We placed a couple.
yeah, so when you have those
in their
that,
50s.
I know. I recently
That's
had
scary.
someone who was a professional, and I just felt for their family. Some sons in high school and everything like that. But when you have someone that's young and strong like that who can wander, or you could be asleep and they disappear in the middle of the night and go out the front door. Those are scary topics.
Very scary.
But I could see why there may be a demand for opening skilled nursing facilities, specifically providing care for someone who could wander. Because that certainly is an issue. Safety is primary.
But that doesn't, I mean,
Yeah.
memory care units are locked down, so.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know what that's going to entail, but that's what I heard. I don't know
Love
if
to hear
it's
more
true.
about it, though. It
Yeah.
sounds interesting.
Yeah, that was very interesting. And I recently, either I read it or I heard it or somebody told.
Our approach has been proximity. So when they built that building, it's just 3 palms on our property, probably has a 7-acre footprint or so. The memory support's on the first floor. Our therapy office, which offers PT, OT, and ST, is right beside it, literally. And then right on top of it is the skilled nursing and nursing home. So, we always believe that everything within proximity is successful. So that's been our approach. But it's interesting to see what they come up with, because I know there's technology, all these new things coming out. So.
I think we're learning as we go along, because this
totally
is a
agree
big
with you.
phenomenon.
This
that's
is
happening.
yes, exactly.
And,
Totally.
and the amount of 70-year-old that used to be 90-year-old, used to be 80, 70-year-old males
Yeah.
that I have been seeing lately is really outstanding. It's astounding.
Wow.
It really is.
Wow.
Very scary.
Particularly males.
Yeah.
I think.
That's interesting.
I think we've covered a lot of what, some of you've already elaborated on some of the other questions, like, what has working with seniors taught you personally, and you went into detail and you have friends here now, so
That's what makes my job wonderful.
you have lunch and dinner with them.
I
looks
do. I
like
see
you
them all the
enjoy
time.
it.
I
It
really
looks
do.
like you do.
I really do. I literally met a family yesterday, and it's just hearing about their accomplishments, their families. They came as far as Wisconsin, and I was like, wow, from Wisconsin. What's the weather like over there? And to listen to their family dynamic is, it's not just an education; it's entertaining, and I can't thank them enough for sharing that information with me. But I love what I do. I do feel, we provide an honest service, and we hope to continue to flourish. We've been here for a very long time. I feel at this point we know what we're doing, and we can help a lot of folks accomplish what they're looking for.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
No, thank you.
To end the podcast, what is the one message you want families listening today to remember when making these difficult transition decisions?
Oh, gosh. I would say don't wait for a crisis or an episode. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Have the conversation. Tour a facility. For God's sakes, I even invite folks to lunch and say, listen, I won't even be there. Talk to the residents, and I just allow them to integrate. Because, a cultural fit is important as well. So don't be afraid to look into it, but definitely look down the terrain and have some sort of plan. Don't wait for the crisis. That would be my message.
Yeah, I would also add research agencies like ours. We are a free service to the community, and we dedicate ourselves to doing just that, is doing that task, that overwhelming task of making appointments, touring facilities with you and your families. So
That's great. It's
Sometimes
wonderful.
holding their hands and sometimes crying with them.
No, absolutely, and I think that that has to happen, you know, and that's where those relationships form, and I think it's wonderful that you actually do that, because I think there's something for everybody out there. And it's a matchmaking service, I think.
It
if
is a
anything.
yeah, it is.
So
Matchmaking service.
you may have to kiss a couple of frogs, but you'll find the prince. Definitely.
That
I
was
think
great.
it's
I
definitely
loved
worth looking
it. I
for.
loved
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Michael, thank you so much.
But wait, before we finish.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to say something real quick.
Yeah.
So it turns out that many, many years ago, I was in the process of buying a property, and I went to see this beautiful property, and the nicest lady came out, and she goes, "You need to buy this, honey. I'm heading over to Eastridge where my new life awaits." All her friends were here, and they were calling her,
wow.
and she was so excited.
Right,
So,
right.
you know, this is a very good name for
No,
a long, long time.
Love hearing that. I love hearing that.
It's a great,
Thank you.
facility. We wouldn't recommend nothing that we don't think is fabulous, and this is a
The
fabulous.
grounds are beautiful.
community.
The treatment, yes.
Stay tuned for our next podcast, where we're gonna go really dig deep into memory care. I know that's a big one.
Yeah.
Ladies, make sure you subscribe to Mari.Trilogy on YouTube and Instagram. See you next time. Have a good one.